Nah, I'm just kidding.
So A Quiet Place Part 2 is directed by John Krasinski, and it stars these actors down here, and is also the sequel for A Quiet Place Part 1 that came out in 2018. And this story picks up right after the first one left off, a few moments later from the first one. So if you've seen the first one, it's a similar plot where you follow this group of family that as they overcome obstacles along the way and trying to remain quiet, as though if they make a sound, then the evil monsters will get them. So before watching this movie, I did went back and saw part one. So if you want to hear my review for that one, please comment down below, let me know. So what do I think about Quiet Place Part 2? I actually do find the movie pretty enjoyable. It takes everything that you like about the first one and it expands much further on that one. But there are several things that I really have to give praise for this movie, and one of them is the biggest one being Millicent Simmons, who played the daughter of Reagan. I feel like she did a fantastic job with this movie. She did a great job with the first one, but in this movie is where I really do think that she becomes like the focus point of this movie, and she really does do a fantastic performance.
People who liked the first movie, and millions of people did, is the fact of just going out.
And also everyone else in the movie also does a great job with Emily Blunt and also Cillian Murphy, which I was surprised by his acting. Like I know he's a really talented actor, but in this movie he really does a great job acting. And the one thing that I think that makes these actors really good in this movie is the fact that they have to do things by expression. This movie, there's a lot of moments in where it's quiet or silent. So the actors themselves have to do it by expression, by sign, and that's where you can see that these actors really are good at what they're doing. And another thing that I gotta give praise to is the cinematography by Polly Morgan. Uh, she has done like cinematography in the past, but those were more independent films. This was like her first big blockbuster type of movie, and she did a fantastic job. The movie is shot well crafted. The cinematography is excellent in this movie. The movement of the camera, where they place the camera, really does elevate the story for me in a sense. And where the one thing is that the main one being that every time something were to happen or there's a monster that's around, you always have the main characters in the foreground. Though the camera always focuses on the main characters. Even though we see like evil stuff happening, the main characters always stay around. Makes you care or know or be in you are along with the main characters as these stuff are happening, and that's really good. Most movies, like what they do is that they'll just cut to something happening, then cut back to reaction shot. Even though this movie, what it does is it follows the character along. And this movie also was shot in 35mm camera. And all the praise have to go to John Wazowski. Even though he directed this movie, he also wrote the movie and produced it. So this movie is his product. This movie is his baby. And I think the story is very engaging. You really do care because it takes place right after the first one and is a continuation of that one. The characters are all the same. You get to know more about them or see them explore to new grounds, new areas. This movie is a great movie for a sequel. It takes what you like about the first one and expands on that. It also takes the characters without retconning and it develops more. It gives them more stuff to do. And it also has that Empire Strike Back type of sequels in where in the second one the characters all go off on a little adventure. And this movie is a great follow-up for the first movie. Like they together it's like one story. It's like a 3 hour long movie. And also, and this movie also sets up for a third movie. So for me, I feel like that the story is not fully complete. But if there is one problem that I had with the movie, or something that really stand out to me, has to be the kid actor who plays the little brother. You see, in the first movie, they filmed it like in 2017. And then in this one, they filmed it like a few years ago. And in those time period, the kid aged drastically. And so in this movie, it takes place right after that one. You see him, and I'm like, whoa, he aged quite a bit in a short period of time. It kind of has that Rocky feeling where each movie, Rocky's kid always get older, even though the movies are like kind of like take place within the same time period. So that's like basically like that is just something that I noticed, and it kind of took me off the movie at first, but it didn't really affect me from the movie. And a problem that I had with this movie that I also had with the first one is the use of CGI. Even though in this one, since they had a bigger budget, uh, they did improve a lot on the CGI. But for me, I just personal take, I just prefer having practical effect, practical creatures over CGI. I can still tell it's CGI, but like that's just the way movies are nowadays, and so I really won't be able to blame the movie for that. I would just personal take prefer practical. And another problem that I kind of had with the movie, which I don't blame the movie for that, it's the way it ended, and where it ended not on a cliffhanger, but like it just ends right there. It doesn't feel like the ending of a second movie. It feels like the ending of a second act, getting ready for a third act, which is what the movie was intended to be. I just didn't feel like the movie was over, that it needed to be done. But that's the intention of the director. That's what he wanted to do. It's just something that I'm like, oh, it's over. This movie isn't perfect in any way, but the thing that it does is that it's a proper sequel. It does what a sequel movie should do, which is to expand further because they had a bigger budget. They could go explore more of this world, and at the same time take characters into a new adventure, but still having them maintain the same personality, but they grow over. It's really hard to do, but John Wazowski did a great job with this movie. This movie does have a lot of stuff to like nitpick and everything, but one thing that I would say, and it's just a personal thing as well, is that I do feel like the beginning of the movie, because the movie starts off with day one of what happened, and I do feel like it just went on just a little too much. I wouldn't mind of them just crashing and then stuff happening. It's in the trailer too. Like whatever you see in the trailer, I think would have been nice enough, and not show stuff that like was not in the trailer because those were like extra stuff. It's just a personal take, though. Yeah, so that's my review for Quiet Place Part 2. I think it's a solid sequel. I think it's what a sequel should be, and it sets up for a third movie, in which I do hope that the third one would be the ending and it won't go further on. Who knows? Maybe they might be interesting enough that they will explore more, and maybe. But right now, I do feel like three should be good enough for this movie. But it's a solid movie. It does everything what a sequel movie should do. It's enjoyable. It's very entertaining. Good acting, very great cinematography by Polly Morgan, and great directing. So comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about the movie. Like, what do you think about the cinematography? What do you think about the acting, the music? Which I'm not a huge fan of the music in this one. It's just for me, I view it as just more, typical generic horror and then, dramatic songs. But tell me, what do you guys think about this movie? What do you think about the performance and everything? So that's my review of the movie. Hope you folks enjoyed it because we're out of here.